It was only a few years ago when Elizabeth Holmes, the ambitious young founder of Theranos, seemed to be on top of the world as she united together some of Silicon Valley's highest-profile investors in her revolutionary blood testing startup. However, those ambitions were quickly dashed when damning reports and lawsuits revealed that Theranos had been allegedly overstating the effectiveness of their products, while misleading consumers and even doctors. This story is a cautionary tale about what can happen when ambition runs rampant, no matter how grand one's dreams may be. Hello and welcome to the Business Phil. In today's video, we will look at what went wrong for the founder of Theranos, Elizabeth Holmes. Before starting our video, don't forget to smash the subscribe button and click the notification bell for more amazing content. Now let's get this video started. The story so far. She was the world's youngest self-made female billionaire, trumpeted by Forbes magazine. The next Steve Jobs, said Inc., another business magazine that featured her on its cover. Elizabeth Holmes, then 30 years old, was on top of the world in 2014. She was a Stanford University dropout who had founded a $9 billion company that she claimed would revolutionize disease diagnosis. Theranos stated that its Edison test, which requires only a few drops of blood, could diagnose illnesses like cancer and diabetes rapidly and without the need for needles. On the board were figures ranging from Henry Kissinger to General James Mattis. But by 2015, the seams were fraying, and Holmes was exposed as a fake within a year. The technology she promoted didn't work at all, and the company she formed failed in 2018. In January, she was found guilty by a jury in California on 4 charges of fraud, each carrying a potential penalty of 20 years in prison. The jury found her not guilty on 4 other charges and failed to reach a verdict on 3 others. Holmes, who had pleaded not guilty to all charges, wanted a second trial, but her requests were denied. She was sentenced to 11 years and 3 months in prison. Who is Elizabeth Holmes? In 2003, Ms. Holmes was in her first year at Stanford University's School of Chemical Engineering. At the time, she was 19 years old. She dropped out to start Theranos, which was first called Real-Time Cures. Her first idea was to make an arm patch that could scan for infectious diseases and release antibiotics for those diseases, but the product never came to be. The former CEO grew up in a wealthy family in Washington, D.C., and both of her parents worked as bureaucrats in Capitol Hill. People who knew her when she was a teenager said she was polite but quiet. Soon after she quit Stanford, Ms. Holmes started dating Ramesh Sunny Balwani, a software engineer who is 20 years older than her. Mr. Balwani would later invest in Theranos, become its CEO, and eventually become an accomplice in her crimes. During the trial, Ms. Holmes said that Mr. Balwani abused her sexually and emotionally during the time they were together. What did her firm Theranos do? After it was founded, Theranos ran its business in secret for a decade before making its blood testing technology known to the public in 2013. The Theranos website said that its technology could detect more than 200 medical conditions, such as cholesterol, thyroid, herpes, and even cancer, in about 15 minutes by using a testing device called Edison to analyze just a few drops of blood collected in a tiny vial called a nanotainer through a finger prick. The idea for the company's revolutionary testing technology came from the fact that Ms. Holmes was afraid of the needles used to draw blood for lab tests. She thought that this made many people not want to get tested. Around this time, Ms. Holmes had a sudden but short-lived rise to fame in Silicon Valley. Her claim that she had founded technology that had never been done before brought in powerful investors and board members. At the time, her company was worth $9 billion, and she had a $4.5 billion stake in it. Magazines rushed to put Ms. Holmes on their covers, and in 2015, Forbes named her the richest self-made woman in the United States. While her black turtlenecks had already invited comparisons with Apple's Steve Jobs, the cover of the American Business Magazine Incorporated called her the next Steve Jobs. What went wrong? It began to unravel in 2015 when a whistleblower raised concerns about Theranos' flagship testing device, the Edison. The Wall Street Journal published a series of stinging revelations claiming that the results were unreliable and that the company had been doing most of its testing on widely available devices built by other manufacturers. Lawsuits piled up, partners parted ways, and in 2016, US officials barred Holmes from operating a blood testing service for 2 years. Theranos was dissolved in 2018. In March of that year, Holmes agreed to settle civil charges brought by financial regulators that she had illegally raised $700 million from investors. 3 months later, she and Mr. Balwani were arrested on felony accusations of wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Prosecutors claimed she willfully misled patients about the tests and greatly inflated the firm's effectiveness to financial supporters. Commentators said it was amazing how strongly Holmes stuck to her original tale as the Theranos affair reached trial, and those who knew her said they doubted she had changed. Elizabeth's story reminds us all how important it is to stay within our limits and live life with an ethical approach. As she once famously said, "All great things happened with purposeful actions." Now, more than ever before, those words ring true in light of recent events. What are your thoughts on the video? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your time. We'll see you later.